As indie filmmakers, it's not often we have a video village. You might be very lucky to get a HDMI out with a monitor. The wireless system on this is just so organic and simple that like any indie production is going to benefit from having one of these. Hi, my name's Ryan Savarak, and this is my review on the DJI Ronin 4D. After using it on our short film, Everything Will Kill You Roo. Big shout out to RAZ Studios. We've been wanting to try this bad boy out for a while and they hooked us up, and I want to tell you the positives and the negatives about using this camera in a real world scenario. So the reason we chose the Ronin 4D is simply, this camera is just the ideal camera for run and gun. There is nothing that you can't do with this camera. If you need a static shot, you can lock it up on a tripod, but to be honest, once you start holding it, you don't want to put it down. So the reason I loved this camera was everywhere I went, I could just basically run, start shooting stuff. Within 10 minutes, I could literally be framed up and ready to go. That's Matt in the background there. Other perfect thing about this camera that I probably haven't mentioned yet actually is the lenses are all the same size and weight, which is a really handy feature because when you need to swap out from a 35 to a 50 or something like that, you're not recentering or rebalancing the gimbal every time, because that is something that is actually a difficult thing when you are shooting with normal cameras on a gimbal rig, is every time you tweak something, rebalance. This, ready to go. So I think that, once again, for production turnaround was just so helpful. So this was my favorite thing on set, the 7-inch high bright DJI monitor. It was easily my favorite part of this whole system. This camera is great, don't get me wrong, and I love everything it did, but this is actually what made the shoot run smoothly. Having this in the director's hands, when you could be anywhere setting anything up and he knows exactly what's happening, the batteries lasted really well, the transmission never got interrupted, it just made life easy. This wireless system was probably the thing that made the shoot run as smooth as it did. Having a straight up director's monitor that they feel comfortable holding and they can take wherever they need to go, being able to just go to the director, you're happy with that, and they can just go, yep, we're good. It saved so much time on set. That is probably my favorite part of this system. I think if you get this, you need to have that. It will just make the on-set experience like way easier. The main thing I wanted to actually test with this camera is I wanted to see what the image quality was like, because when you're using wider lenses, sometimes you can feel a little bit limited, because that was one of the downfalls of this camera, is we didn't have any sort of real telephoto lenses, which is why we used the Blackmagic as our B camera. But everything just looked so good. Like I remember taking it into the edit, into DaVinci, and I just went, there's nothing wrong with this. It's all clean, it's all simple, it's all good. And now that you can get different adapters, so you can actually attach your own cinema lenses or your vintage lenses to it, it's just become even more of a powerhouse. So I think this camera for on-set is just, we wanted to be able to move, we wanted to be able to move quick. We also wanted to be able to have some dynamic movements within our camera shots. And also, because it's a killer kangaroo film, we could do the kangaroo running behind people and have a little bit of bounce if we wanted, but it still felt very static and smooth, but it almost felt like a POV of an actual kangaroo, so that was kind of cool too. So big thank you to RAZ Studios for helping us out with this system, because it was awesome. Like honestly, I cannot stress enough how helpful this was for Everything Will Kill You Roo. We are getting spoiled more and more by the technology, and I've become used to a certain standard of living when it comes to being on set now because of this kit. And that's a big problem for me. Everything I go back to now feels like it was made in the Stone Ages. I need one of these just on standby for everyone. So if you need to get that quick shot, if you need to do that quick motion or that movement without waiting for a whole set build, I think this thing is going to be invaluable. Big props to DJI. I think they've made a fantastic kit, and it's definitely something I want to be using more in the future. And once again, if you are in the Perth, West Australian area, I cannot recommend highly enough to come to RAZ Studios. They have awesome gear. They have studio space like where we're shooting right now. They just have a lot of knowledge, and they're just really friendly and helpful to work with. So I cannot stress enough that if you are in this area and you need a hand, these guys are definitely the people to speak to. So rating this camera, like honestly, I think it is a great tool for the job, but like any camera, you've got to get the right tool for the job. There were things this camera was perfect for, and there are other things where the Blackmagic was probably actually a better fit. But I think the best thing you can do is, if you're ever interested in a camera, instead of just buying it blindly, go down to your local rental house and actually ask if you can try something out. Take it for a day or a weekend. You don't always need to use these on a production. But I think the problem with a lot of these reviews that you see often is it is just a little collage of clips, or it is just a quick review of I tried it in the backyard. So actually having this on the ground for a production, it really let me put it through its paces, and I would happily use this camera again.